So I am super excited to get into this video because I've been waiting so long to talk about these two series. And normally when I do videos like this, I talk about one series per video. But because these series meant so much to me growing up, like when I was finishing up middle school, when I was starting high school, when I was finishing up high school, and watching the rest of the episodes that were out for these series until they ended, I just had to make a whole big video talking about these two series as a whole. Because when it came to a lot of shows on Cartoon Network around that time when we were entering the 2010s, I was really curious to see what was out there, to see if there was anything that captured my interest. And I saw so many commercials for Adventure Time, I saw so many commercials for a regular show, and I was like, okay, I need to check these series out because I just love getting into new things. So I watched Adventure Time, so I watched regular show, and I got hooked instantly. And I'm just excited just to give my thoughts on how I feel about these two shows overall. And I want to start off with Adventure Time, and then we'll end up talking about regular show a little bit later, but let's talk about Adventure Time. And I think the main reason why I was so drawn into Adventure Time is because I love things that have that fantasy setting. Like if you want to talk about a couple video games that I really do enjoy when it comes to that fantasy setting, I mean Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time. And then of course you have The Legend of Zelda, where you see Link going on numerous adventures throughout those games. And then of course you have God of War, where you have Kratos going through Greece, and then you have him going through the Norse. And it's just really interesting to me just to see these different worlds when I'm watching movies, TV shows, or playing video games like that. So that was definitely one of the main reasons that I got really attached to Adventure Time. And also you probably have to factor in that Adventure Time kind of reminded me of Super Mario Bros. And the reason why I say that is because as a kid, I grew up playing Mario. I'm pretty sure a lot of us as kids grew up playing Mario. And I always remember playing as Mario, traveling through 8 worlds, and then eventually entering Bowser's castle, beating Bowser, and then capturing Princess Peach so we can eventually go on vacation or do whatever and just have a happy, good time with Princess Peach now that she finally saved. And I think that's what Finn and Princess Bubblegum's relationship reminded me of, because whenever things went on with Ice King, or if there was somebody else that was getting involved, Finn and Jake always had a team up to go and rescue Princess Bubblegum. Obviously, Princess Bubblegum is able to take care of herself, but when it came to certain events that happened in Adventure Time, obviously Finn always had to go along with Jake to rescue Princess Bubblegum at the end of the day. So that's another reason why I was drawn into Adventure Time. And just as a whole, I just love the whole world of Adventure Time. I love following Finn and Jake through the land of Ooo, where they're going through different places within that world and just following them on each adventure that they go on. I was always very interested in shows like that. I mean, that's why I loved Pokemon growing up, because you had Ash traveling around with Brock and Misty everywhere, or Dawn and Brock, or whoever Ash's traveling companions are at the time. I just love the whole thing where it's like, okay, let's go on an adventure. Let's come across like this cave. Let's explore it. Let's see what's going on with Ice King. Let's go visit Marceline. Let's see what's going on with her. Let's go to the Candy Kingdom. Let's visit Princess Bubblegum. Let's see what's going on with her as well. I just loved that so much. And also I just loved the characters. There's a lot of characters in Adventure Time that are very enjoyable. Finn is a great character. I love Finn because he's very heroic and he always wants to do the best that he possibly can to be there for people. And he's a great friend as well, because you look at him and Jake's relationship, that's probably one of the best things about Adventure Time, because you see those two go through a lot of things. Like that, yes, they have their ups and downs where they get into disagreements, but that's just how friendships work. And then you also have moments where they have to be there for one another. Like if something's upsetting Jake, Finn's there. If something's upsetting Finn, Jake's there. Like especially if you look at what happened with Finn when we got a little bit later into Adventure Time, where Finn was trying to open up to Princess Bubblegum because he had a lot of feelings for her. Like if you guys remember that episode where we saw Flame Princess for the very first time, you saw how Finn was trying to open up to Princess Bubblegum, and then it came to a point where he couldn't handle it anymore, and he pretty much told Princess Bubblegum, you know, why are you stringing me along? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And then we just saw Finn in this like depressed state, and Jake was trying to be there for him, trying to help him out. And then we eventually saw Finn come in contact with Flame Princess, and we saw how their relationship progressed from there, which obviously, you know, Finn's a human, and then Flame Princess is a princess made out of flame, so obviously it was a little bit difficult when it came to contact, if they ever wanted to like hold each other's hands or hug or kiss. But at the end of the day, you know, they try to make it work so they could be happy with one another, and Finn was very happy when he was with Flame Princess at that time. So just seeing the struggles that Finn went through, just seeing how Jake was there to help him, it was a very wholesome moment throughout Adventure Time, and it really made you feel for those characters of all the different struggles that each of these characters went through throughout the franchise. You also have characters like Marceline, for example, that been through a lot of shit, and that's one of the main reasons why I love Marceline is because she's such a complex character, just like other Adventure Time characters are as well. They're very complex, they have their struggles, and then we see how they progress and they become stronger throughout the series. But we saw stuff that happened with Marceline when it came to her relationship with Princess Bubblegum, when it comes to her relationship with her father, when it came to her relationship with Ice King, when we got more insight on her and Ice King's relationship. That caught me off guard at first because I wasn't expecting it. But seeing how it was shown to us throughout those episodes of Adventure Time, I learned to love it and I appreciated it. And that was probably like one of my favorite things when it came to character interactions and character relationship throughout Adventure Time, and that was the Ice King and Marceline. And then you look at Ice King as a whole. Yes, that's the antagonist of the show. You would normally expect him to be annoying, and you wouldn't really want to see him on the screen that much. You're like, okay, he's just coming here to try to get another princess, if it's like Princess Bubblegum, if it's like a lumpy space princess, or if there's any other princess out there that Ice King is like really into, you always see him coming in here trying to kidnap the princess, which is why I said earlier, kind of reminded me of Super Mario Bros, because Bowser does that with Princess Peach every single time. But going back to what I was just talking about, you know, you just see Ice King as a character that actually has some layers to it, which makes him a very interesting character. So when you see him on the screen, you get a lot of characterization, you get a lot of character progression with him, just like with Marceline and Finn and Jake and Princess Bubblegum and all these other characters that we get introduced to throughout Adventure Time. You just see great progression with their characters, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love. And when it comes to Adventure Time, you know, the different kinds of themes that we're exploring, you know, love, friendship, sadness, just seeing what each of these characters go through is one of the best things about Adventure Time. And that's why I always tuned in to watch a new episode of Adventure Time, or just to binge a whole bunch of episodes of Adventure Time, because of that very reason. And I absolutely loved it, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to watch the show, because it's one of my favorite shows of all time when it comes to all of those shows that Cartoon Network had. And like I'm gonna say again, Cartoon Network had nothing but bangers when it came to like growing up as a kid throughout the 2000s and the 2010s. I'm gonna give a shout out to Gumball as well, another great show as well, but they just had a lot of bangers growing up, and Adventure Time was definitely one of them. Especially when it comes to the kings of the 2010s, Adventure Time is definitely on top. With the other series as well that we're going to be talking about in this video that I'm super stoked to get into, Regular Show. And I can't not talk about Regular Show without doing this. Yeah, whoa. Like, I just had to throw that in there because that's just one of the most iconic lines when it comes to Rigby and Mordecai, because whenever I saw them doing that, like whenever like something exciting happens, Mordecai and Rigby's like, yeah, like, whoa. I just loved it so much. Like, it made me laugh. It really made me feel like I was there experiencing that moment with them. And there's just a lot of good moments throughout Regular Show. Like, you see Rigby and Mordecai, they work at like a little park, and then you see them with Benson, and Benson's like, okay, go set up the chairs, do this, do that. And they're just goofing off. They're doing their own thing. They're playing video games. They're just lounging around. They're eating food. They're just doing whatever except getting the job done. The best thing about Mordecai and Rigby's relationship is that they actually balance each other out, because Mordecai is like more laid back, and then you got Rigby that's like very hyper, very immature. But it's just interesting to see like their dynamic, to see how they rub off against one another, if that makes any sense. Just seeing like how different these two characters are, but it works, and it makes you really love whenever you see them on screen with one another. And just like Finn and Jake, Mordecai and Rigby, they have their differences, but they're always there for each other at the end of the day. Like Mordecai, for example, had a lot of issues when it came to love throughout Regular Show. Like, he just wanted to find that one person he could call home, somebody that he could love, somebody that he could hold their hand, somebody that they could cuddle with, you know, have a good time, go watch a movie, have a bite to eat, stuff like that. And you had girls like CJ come into the picture, and then of course you had like his big crush throughout the show, which is Margaret, come into the picture. And he always had a lot of struggle when it came to that, when he was trying to interact with them, or he was trying to progress the relationship with them so they can push it to the next level. Rigby was always there whenever Mordecai was down and about. Like whenever Mordecai was like very upset and he didn't really know what to do with himself, Rigby was always there supporting him, just like how a best friend does. And same thing happens with Rigby. Like whenever something's going on at Rigby where he's feeling down, let's say for example that he participated in a tournament and Rigby didn't win the tournament, or if like some personal things that was going on at Rigby that really put him in a position where he was locked in a cage and he didn't really know how to escape that cage, that's when Mordecai came into the picture to help Rigby get through all of those things so they could eventually move on and they could progress and they could become stronger people. And that's just one of the things I loved about regular show, just seeing these characters interact with one another, seeing how close they are, which adds layers to their character that makes them very interesting. And then of course you have other characters like that as well, like Benson, which is that typical boss that's like always up your ass saying, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that, but still Benson was a very funny character. You got Skips, which was pretty much the person that Mordecai and Rigby went to all the time for advice. And then you also had Muscle Man, and then you had High Five Ghost, which they were best friends, and Muscle Man was always making your mom jokes, which we could go on and on and on about all the mom jokes that Muscle Man did throughout the series. Trust me, he made a lot of them. And then of course you had Pops, which is honestly another favorite character of mine, and it really hits home when I talk about like the last episode of regular show, which honestly made me tear up. Like I'm not gonna lie, like watching that last episode of regular show, because I remember I was in a Discord call with my friends and we were all watching with one another, or maybe it was Skype. I don't exactly remember where we were watching it, but I remember watching that last episode and I'm like, holy shit. Like I remember watching this series when it first started and seeing it ended, it really hit home. But looking at like what Pops did throughout that episode, where he had to deal with his brother, and in order for Pops to save the day, he had to sacrifice himself. And then he ended up doing that, and it just really broke you, because it's like, you know, Pops was always there. He was very wholesome. He was always the life of the party. Like when everybody else was like down and about, Pops was always the one and like the best of moods. And it was always nice to see Pops every time. He's like, cheerio. Like Pops was just fun, sweet, and enjoyable character to see whenever he had the opportunity to be on screen. And then when you look at the little time skip that we got after they were trying to process what happened, when they were dealing with the Pop situation and everything else that showcased throughout that last episode, you had that one moment with Rigby and Mordecai. And I'll always go back to this, like whenever I think about regular show, especially when it came to a lot of those key moments throughout the show, I will always go back to this as like being one of my favorite moments. Like if I had to name like a top 10 list or a top 5 list, this would definitely be included, where you had Rigby and Mordecai just reminiscing about all the things they did when they were younger and looking at where they are now, where they did that last woe together. And then Mordecai was like, I can't believe we used to do that. And then I was looking like that, I was like, holy shit, that really hits home, because it's like now everything's coming to a close at regular show. We're closing the book, we're moving on. It's just really sad, because it's like I remember growing up with this show and just seeing a key moment like that, it just really hurt. Like even seeing stuff that happened with Finn and Jake later on in Adventure Time, when like Finn lost Jake, and just seeing where Finn is now and he loses his arm, and just looking at everything that Finn went through, it just really hit home. So just seeing regular show at that state as we were like closing off, and then we see the picture of all of them, and we see Pops at the end where he's like, jolly good show. I'm like, holy shit, man, like this was my childhood, and I am glad again that I had the opportunity to see this show. So these two series, when it comes to Cartoon Network, they were great series. I enjoyed them so much. I had a lot of fun. There was so many memories. Like I could even name another episode of regular show that I absolutely loved, like the very first episode where they were playing with a keyboard. That made me laugh my ass off. Or when they were playing video games, that made me laugh my ass off. Or when Rigby was like trying to wrestle like that little wrestler stuffed animal that he had, we was like jumping off the bed. That was another thing that made me laugh. And looking at Adventure Time, which one of my favorite episodes that I do remember is when Finn was trying to open up that door and he was with Jake, Marceline, and Princess Bubblegum. And then he's like, okay, what's going on here? And then he starts singing. And he's like, what am I to you? And then they all started to chime in. And then you got Marceline singing, you got Princess Bubblegum singing. It was just a very like wholesome moment, just seeing those group of friends working together in order to open up that door. Episodes like this is just very wholesome. And of course, like you have the spin-offs with Adventure Time that I absolutely loved. The Fiona and Cake, I thought that was really cool to see like an alternate universe where there's different people, but they're being played differently. So I thought that was really cool. But those are honestly like my overall thoughts when it comes to Adventure Time and regular show. Like I can honestly talk about these two shows for hours on end, or just honestly I could talk about them anytime. Like if you bring it up to me, I could talk about it anytime. I just love these two shows so much. And just talking about how deep the lore was when it came to Adventure Time and regular show, like there was just more and more things to discover as you progress even deeper within the show when it came to different areas within or discovering more characters, getting more insight on them. There was just always something to sink your teeth into, which was another enjoyable aspect of Adventure Time and regular show. So if you guys have anything you guys want to say when it comes to regular show or Adventure Time, like what your favorite episode of regular show was, what your favorite episode of Adventure Time was, or the whole story of how you got into Adventure Time and regular show, just let me know all your overall thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. We are on the road to 200 subscribers, so I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. You guys are awesome, and I love you guys so much. And if you guys want to follow me on my social media, be sure to check out my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok. It is located in the description below. Be sure to click on that bell for notifications so you guys are notified whenever I upload a new video on the channel. But other than that, I hope all of you guys are having a fantastic day, wherever the day may be, if it's a daytime, the nighttime, or the evening. And I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, peace out.